My child, stop scrolling for just a moment, because what you are about to hear was not placed before you by accident. Something is waiting for you inside this message, something tender, urgent, and deeply connected to the person your heart has tried so hard to understand. Do not rush past these words. There is a reason your spirit paused here. There is a reason your eyes found this message now, and not yesterday, not tomorrow, but at this exact moment. The person you love is carrying words they have not been able to say aloud, and in the quiet place between their fear and their hope, they are pleading, "Please read this message before it disappears. I do not want to lose you. Stay here, because the meaning behind those words is far greater than it first appears." This is not simply about a message written and erased. It is not only about a text typed late at night, a confession hidden in a draft, or a sentence that never reached you. This is about everything they have been holding inside while pretending they were fine. It is about the moment their silence became heavier than their pride. It is about the truth they tried to bury, only to discover that real love does not remain buried forever. Something has shifted within them, and they can no longer deny what your absence, your distance, or your quietness has revealed. They thought they had more time. They believed they could wait until the perfect moment, until their fear was gone, until their life felt organized, until they had the right words. But now their heart is telling them that waiting may cost them the one connection they never truly wanted to lose. This realization did not come gently. It came like a sudden light entering a dark room, exposing everything they had avoided. It showed them the conversations they should have had, the affection they should have expressed, the reassurance they should have given, and the moments when they allowed confusion to speak louder than love. Do not skip this, because something important happened inside their heart when they felt you pulling your energy back. Perhaps you did not announce it. Perhaps you simply became quieter. Perhaps you stopped reaching in the same way. Perhaps you began protecting your peace after giving too much of yourself without knowing whether it was safe to continue. You may have wondered whether they even noticed. You may have thought your silence disappeared into the distance without touching them at all. But heaven has seen what you could not see. They noticed everything. They noticed the change in your tone. They noticed the space where your warmth used to be. They noticed that your attention no longer waited endlessly at their door. And for the first time, they began to understand that your love was never something they were entitled to keep without caring for it. Your presence had become so familiar that they forgot how rare it was. They became accustomed to your patience, your understanding, your willingness to see beyond their defenses. But when that energy shifted, something inside them panicked, not because they wanted control over you, but because they finally saw the possibility of a life in which you were no longer there. This is where the hidden message began. It may not have been written on paper. It may not have appeared on a screen. But in their mind, they have repeated the same plea again and again: "Please do not disappear from my life before I can tell you the truth." They have imagined speaking to you in 100 different ways. In one version, they are calm and composed. In another, their voice shakes. In another, they say almost nothing because one look into your eyes makes every wall inside them collapse. Yet every version ends with the same fear, that they waited too long. Stay till the end, because their fear is not the greatest revelation. The greatest revelation is what they have finally understood about you. For a long time, they misunderstood the depth of your heart. They knew you cared, but they did not understand the courage it took for you to care after everything you had experienced. They saw your kindness, but they did not always recognize the strength beneath it. They saw your patience, but they did not know how often you had to fight your own doubts just to remain open. They assumed that because you loved deeply, you would always remain available. But now they see that your love is sacred. It is not weakness. It is not endless tolerance. It is not a promise to accept uncertainty forever. You have reached a place where you no longer want half-truths, mixed signals, or affection that appears only when it is convenient. You are learning to honor your own heart. And though this growth may have felt lonely, it has created a powerful shift around you. The person you love can feel it. They sense that you are no longer standing still, waiting for them to decide whether you are worthy of certainty. They sense that your soul is moving toward peace, and that if they do not step forward honestly, they may watch you move beyond the reach of their hesitation. This is why the message feels as though it could disappear. It is not only a message from them to you. It is a window of emotional courage that may close if fear takes over again. They are standing at the edge of a confession, but the battle inside them is intense. One part of them wants to tell you everything. Another part whispers that it may be safer to stay silent. One part imagines the relief of finally being understood. Another remembers every past rejection, every broken promise, every moment when vulnerability became pain. Their silence was never proof that they felt nothing. In many ways, it was proof that they felt more than they knew how to carry. They tried to distract themselves. They filled their days with responsibilities, conversations, routines, and noise. They told themselves that time would make the feelings smaller. They believed distance would create clarity. But instead of disappearing, your presence became stronger in their thoughts. Ordinary moments began reminding them of you. A familiar song, a certain hour of the evening, a place they passed, a phrase someone used, even the quiet after a long day began opening the memory of your energy. They began remembering small details they had once overlooked. The way you listened when they spoke. The way your presence made them feel less alone. The way you tried to understand what they could not explain. They remembered moments when you offered warmth while carrying struggles of your own. They remembered your effort. And the more they remembered, the more a painful truth emerged. They may have made you feel unimportant when, deep inside, you were the person who mattered most. Pause here, because the next part is delicate. They are not only afraid of losing your presence. They are afraid that they have changed the way you see them. They wonder whether you now associate them with disappointment. They wonder whether their hesitation made you question your worth. They wonder whether the love you once offered freely has become guarded because of what they failed to do. This thought has been following them quietly, and it has awakened something that pride could no longer silence: remorse. Not the kind of remorse that seeks pity. Not the kind that appears for one evening and vanishes the next morning. This is the kind that makes a person replay moments and wish they could return with a wiser heart. They remember times when they could have reassured you but remained distant. They remember when they could have spoken clearly but gave you confusion. They remember when you needed honesty and they gave you silence. They now understand that uncertainty can wound a loving heart even when no cruel words are spoken. Yet heaven is not revealing this, so you will return to old pain. You are not being asked to ignore your boundaries, abandon your wisdom, or accept less than you deserve. This message is not a command to chase anyone. It is not telling you to prove yourself again. It is showing you that the energy between you has entered a moment of truth. What was hidden is rising. What was avoided is demanding to be faced. And what happens next will depend not only on what they feel, but on whether they are willing to turn feeling into honesty. Something huge is waiting for you in that distinction. Many people feel deeply but remain unchanged. Many people miss someone but still refuse to become emotionally responsible. Many people fear loss only when comfort is removed. But the person connected to this message is being confronted with a deeper question: are you willing to become the person who can hold the love you are asking not to lose? That question has shaken them. They know that saying, "I do not want to lose you," is not enough. They know love cannot survive on urgent words alone. They must be willing to show up differently. They must be willing to communicate when it is uncomfortable, to offer clarity where they once created doubt, and to stop expecting you to carry the emotional weight for both of you. This is the part they are beginning to understand, and it is why their inner world feels so intense. They are being asked to choose courage over habit. The habits are familiar. Silence. Delay. Overthinking. Pretending not to care. Waiting for you to make the first move. Protecting their ego while their heart quietly aches. But courage is calling them towards something unfamiliar. It is calling them to be seen. To admit that your absence affected them. To acknowledge that they were afraid. To confess that their distance did not mean indifference. And perhaps most difficult of all, to tell you that the thought of losing you has made them realize how deeply they love you. Do not skip, because this realization came through an unexpected moment. There was a point recently when they imagined you moving forward without them. It may have been triggered by something small, something no one else would have noticed. A change in your behavior. A photograph. A conversation they overheard. A dream. A moment when they reached for their phone and stopped because they did not know whether they still had the right to contact you. In that instant, they saw a future where someone else recognized your value, someone else gave you the certainty they withheld, someone else stood beside you with the courage they failed to show. The image disturbed them more than they expected. They tried to dismiss it, but it remained. It forced them to face the possibility that love does not wait forever for someone to become ready. It made them realize that while they were trying to protect themselves from vulnerability, they may have been pushing away the very person their heart had been searching for. The truth was painful, but it was also necessary. Sometimes a heart does not awaken until it sees what silence may cost. And now, the message is forming more clearly. Please read this before it disappears. I do not want to lose you. I know I have not always shown you what you mean to me. I know my silence may have made you believe that I did not care. But the truth is, I was afraid of how much I cared. I was afraid that if I opened my heart, I would lose control. I did not understand that by trying to control my feelings, I was slowly losing you. These are not necessarily the exact words they will use, but they are the truth beneath whatever they finally say. They want you to know that your love reached places in them no one else could touch. It awakened both hope and fear. Hope, because being near you made them believe that something real was possible. Fear, because real love asks a person to remove the masks that once kept them safe. You did not simply enter their life. You entered the parts of them that had been hidden behind strength, independence, humor, busyness, or emotional distance. They could not remain unchanged after knowing you. Even when they tried to act unaffected, your presence was quietly transforming them. You made them question old patterns. You made them notice how often they ran from closeness. You made them realize that being loved is not the same as being controlled, and being vulnerable is not the same as being weak. Yet transformation can feel frightening before it feels freeing. That is why they moved toward you and then stepped back. That is why there may have been moments of warmth followed by silence. Their heart was opening while their defenses were fighting to remain closed. But something has now changed in the balance. Their heart is becoming louder than their fear. They are tired of pretending. Tired of carrying unfinished conversations. Tired of imagining what they should have said. Tired of wondering whether you still feel the connection. There is a growing urgency inside them, and it is not the urgency of panic alone. It is the urgency of truth that has waited too long. Stay here, because heaven is also speaking to you about your role in this moment. You are not meant to shrink your standards just because someone finally recognizes your value. You are not meant to forget the nights you questioned yourself, the days you felt unseen, or the emotional confusion you had to overcome. Your healing matters. Your boundaries matter. Your peace matters. Love that is truly aligned will not ask you to betray yourself in order to receive it. The message may reach you, but you will still have the right to listen slowly. You will have the right to observe whether their actions match their words. You will have the right to ask questions. You will have the right to protect the parts of you that have become stronger through this journey. Forgiveness does not require immediate access. Compassion does not require the removal of wisdom. A sincere confession may open a door, but trust must still walk through that door one honest step at a time. And yet, do not let fear harden you completely. There is a difference between discernment and emotional punishment. Discernment listens and observes. Punishment refuses to hear because pain wants someone else to suffer too. You have grown beyond that. You are learning that your power does not come from making another person regret losing you. Your power comes from knowing that whether they rise to meet the truth or not, you will not abandon yourself again. This is why the situation is spiritually significant. The connection is no longer being held together by longing alone. It is being brought to a threshold where truth must replace fantasy. Both hearts are being asked to mature. They are being asked to communicate. You are being asked to remain open without losing yourself. The old version of this connection cannot continue. Either it will become clearer, stronger, and more honest, or it will release you into a new chapter of peace. But there is more. The person you love has not only been thinking about what to say. They have been thinking about one particular moment between you, a moment that may have seemed ordinary when it happened. Perhaps you spoke words of encouragement when they felt broken. Perhaps you stayed when others walked away. Perhaps you looked at them in a way that made them feel truly known. They return to that memory because it holds proof that what existed between you was not imagined. They remember how safe they felt, even if they never admitted it. That memory has become the emotional center of the message they want to send. They want to tell you that they did not forget. They want to tell you that your kindness was not wasted. They want to tell you that even during the silence, they carried the imprint of your love. And there are moments when they almost reach out, but fear asks them a question they do not know how to answer. What if it is too late? This question has brought them close to tears. Not because they expect you to rescue them from the consequences of their choices, but because they now understand that time is not promised. Connections can change. Hearts can heal in new directions. The person who once waited may decide to stop waiting. The person who once believed may begin choosing peace over possibility. They know this, and the knowledge has created a new humility inside them. They are no longer asking, "Will you always be there?" They are asking, "Have I become someone worthy of asking you to stay?" That is a powerful shift. It means the message is not only about fear of loss. It is about accountability beginning to awaken. It is about a person seeing that love is not secured by intense emotion but by consistent presence. They may still be imperfect. They may still struggle to express themselves. But something in them is beginning to move from passive longing toward active truth. Do not skip the next revelation, because this is where the mystery deepens. There is something they have not told anyone fully. They may have shared pieces with a friend, a family member, or someone they trust, but they have not revealed the whole truth. The whole truth is not simply that they miss you. The whole truth is that they imagined a future with you. Quietly. Secretly. Perhaps even before they were ready to admit it to themselves. They imagined ordinary things. Conversations at the end of long days. Laughter in familiar rooms. Your presence beside them during difficult moments. Celebrations, quiet mornings, small journeys, shared plans. These visions frightened them because they were not casual. They carried a sense of permanence. And when a person who has learned to protect themselves begins imagining permanence, every unresolved fear rises at once. They wondered whether they could give you what you deserved. They wondered whether their past would ruin something beautiful. They wondered whether you would still love them if you saw the parts they hide. Instead of bringing these fears to you, they pulled inward. They thought distance would help them regain control. But distance only showed them what life felt like without your closeness. It felt emptier than they expected.